Hey, welcome back, Casibang's crew. So this is the third video in Unit 3. We're still talking about operant conditioning, but I felt like this part of operant conditioning deserved its own video. So today we're talking about reinforcement schedules. So when we were talking about operant conditioning, we talked about reinforcers, things that strengthen the behavior that it follows. So now I'm going to talk about how can we use reinforcement, and we're going to talk about reinforcement schedules. Okay, so a couple of different concepts here. We have continuous versus partial reinforcement. So in our continuous reinforcement, we are reinforcing the behavior every time the behavior is exhibited. Every single time. Usually done when the subject is first learning to make that association. And acquisition, remember acquisition is gaining the learning. So acquisition comes really, really fast. But so does extinction. Remember, extinction is when we lose the behavior. We lose the learning. So if you are continuously reinforcing your acquisition of giving the reinforcement, extinction can happen just as fast. All right. Then partial reinforcement. Okay, so our partial reinforcement, we're going to reinforce the behavior only some of the time. Acquisition comes a little bit more slowly. Okay, it takes more time, but it is more resistant to extinction. And there are 4 types of partial reinforcement schedules, and that's what we're going to talk about mostly today. Okay, so the first 2 types of partial reinforcement schedules are ratio schedules. So we have fixed ratio. Okay, fixed ratio provides a reinforcement after a set number of responses. Please highlight, circle, underline, number. Okay, so for example, this woman is on a diet, so she gets a manicure after every 5 pounds she loses. Okay, she's trying to reinforce her dieting behavior, so she's going to reward herself after every 5 pounds that she loses. She gives herself a manicure, or she goes to get a manicure. All right, the second type of ratio schedule is variable ratio schedule. So here we provide reinforcement after a random number of responses. Again, underline or circle, highlight number. This is very difficult to get acquisition, but once you do acquire the learning, it's extremely resistant to extinction. Okay, so that's a good thing. It takes a long time to get the learning, but it resists extinction. Okay, so again, fixed ratio, FR, remember you need to know these abbreviations. Okay, reinforces a response only after a specified number of responses. So the faster you respond, the more rewards you get. Okay, very high rate of responding, and if, for example, it is like pay per item. So you're in a job, and maybe you're in a sales job and you're selling cell phones, and you get paid commission for every phone you sell. Okay, so that's a fixed ratio. Or, I don't know that they do this very, very often anymore, but like you get these little like punch cards, okay? And this one is a free drink coupon. So every drink you buy, you get a punch, and then when you get to your 10th drink, you get one free. Okay, so that's a fixed ratio type of reinforcement. The behavior that we're trying to increase is that you're buying drinks with us. Okay? The reward for buying drinks with us is you get a free drink. Then the variable ratio, again, reinforces a response after unpredictable number of responses. Examples are gambling and fishing. Okay? You're going to keep doing the behavior because you never know when you're going to get that big payout. Okay? Again, super difficult to acquire the learning, but hard to extinguish because of the unpredictability. Okay, you might be like, oh, I'm going to stop putting money into the slot machine because it hasn't paid out in a while. But then you're like, but what if it's the next one? So you put money in again. Okay, so you keep doing it. It's hard to get rid of that behavior because you just never know. What if it's coming up soon? What if it's my chance? What if it's, my turn? Okay, the next set are interval schedules. So again, we have a fixed interval. The fixed interval requires a set amount, highlight, circle, underline the word amount, of time to elapse before giving the reinforcement. I'm sorry, amount of time. Please highlight amount of time. Okay, so for example, she gets a manicure. Okay, it's our same example as before. Okay, she's dieting. Okay, she gets a manicure for every 7 days she stays on her diet. So the interval schedules are always going to be hours, days, months, years. It's going to be a unit of measurement. Okay. Then we have variable interval. So it requires a random amount of time to elapse before giving the reinforcement. Again, underline, highlight, amount of time. Again, really hard to get acquisition, but also super resistant to extinction. So that's the one thing that's common about the variable ratio and variable interval, is that it takes a long time to get the learning, but it resists that extinction. So an example of this are pop quizzes. Okay, if I were to give you a pop quiz, at random points in time, you never know when it's going to happen. You are always prepared. Okay, after you fail that first couple, okay, then you're like, oh, she might give us a pop quiz. It might be today. I don't know. Okay, or it might be like checking homework. Okay, I don't check every single night's homework, or day's homework, but I might check today's homework, so you never know. So you're going to make sure that you do all your homework, because you never know when I'm going to check it. So again, it takes a while to learn, but it resists extinction. Okay, so again, fixed interval reinforces a response only after a specified time has elapsed, and responses occur more frequently as the anticipated time for reward draws near. Variable interval. Again, make sure that you're paying attention to these abbreviations. So VI for variable interval reinforces a response at a very unpredictable time. So produces slow but steady responding. And the example there is a pop quiz. Just a funny little meme for you. Okay, psych in real life. You're going to encounter all of these psych concepts in real life, and you never even knew it. All right, so this graph shows you how well the schedules of reinforcement work. So it just gives you an idea. On the side of the graph here, we have the number of responses. So this could be the number of events that are happening. Okay, so let's say times I check homework. Okay, and down here across the bottom are the time in minutes. Okay, but this could be minutes, it could be days, it could be months. So fixed ratio has this steady increase. Okay, and ratio, we're all talking about the number of responses. Okay, so that's why these kind of go right up, and this indicates very, very quick learning. Okay, super quick learning. So we have variable ratio, which again is all about the number of responses, but variable ratio takes a lot longer time for you to learn. Okay, and then we have here the rapid responding when it comes near time for that reinforcement to happen. Then the red and the purple lines here are our interval, our time reinforcement schedules. So again, we have, it's not really like a straight line. We kind of have these like dips and curves, okay? These dips and curves on the fixed interval. So if you know that I'm going to check homework every Monday, okay, here's where we have our high point on a Monday, but you know I'm not going to check it any other day of the week, so it goes down, your homework completion goes down, but then it comes back up for Monday. Okay, so you see that's why you have kind of the ebbs and flows, the dips there. Whereas with variable interval, you have a pretty steady, steep, straight line. So if you never know when I'm going to check homework, you're going to do homework all the time because you never know when it's going to happen. Okay. All right. So we have 2 questions again that you're going to be asking yourself to figure out the fixed and the variable. And those are on your video notes guide. So the question is going to be, is it a number of occurrences or is it over time? Obviously, if it's a number of occurrences, it's a ratio. And the way I always think of it is ratio. Like I think of fractions in math, okay? That's a ratio. If it is a time period, then you know it's going to be interval. So again, 50% of the way there. The next question you're going to ask is it after a specific number or a specific amount of time, or can it happen randomly, whenever? So if it's specific, it's fixed. If it is random, it is variable. So again, now I've given you 2 questions to ask yourself for classical conditioning, 2 questions to ask yourself for operant conditioning, and now 2 questions to ask yourself for schedules of reinforcement. Because again, you are going to, on your test and on your exam, you're going to be given an example of some sort of reinforcement schedule, and you're going to have to figure out, is it fixed ratio or variable ratio? Is it fixed interval or variable interval? Okay. Come to class with your questions, and of course we're going to practice this, right? See you soon. Bye.